Hey guys, so let's have a talk about what's been happening here the past 2 weeks. I figure now's a good time. We've been getting a lot of rain. You can see it's kind of raining, and I figure I'd just take this opportunity to talk to you a bit. So over the past 2 weeks, some good things have happened. Some really nasty things have happened. And I don't mean nasty like gross, I mean nasty like people being nasty. Some of you may have saw a comment or two in my posts in my YouTube chat on my channel that are very negative and accusatory. Some people just can't be happy with what they get and what they ask for. But let's talk about the good things first. So I've had a significant number of ducklings hatch. I put in, I think, 60 runner ducks. Yeah, 60 runner duck eggs, and I got, I'd say probably about 40 runner ducks out. So a lot of runner ducks, a lot. It's actually not the most I've ever hatched, but it's the most I've hatched at one time. So I have a whole bunch of babies, and actually, I'll zoom the camera around here and show you all the babies. Oh, God. So you see all them cuties in there. You saw some black ones too, or some colored ones. So those colored ones are actually, they're Cayuga or Cayuga crosses with Khaki Campbell. The nice thing about Khaki Campbell and Cayuga crosses is they're auto-sexing. Bet you didn't know that. Neither did I. So you can tell the males from the females when they hatch. It's kind of interesting. Not really what I'm going after, but I don't really have a choice at the moment because I need to get some more fence and kind of, segregate them off. But it is what it is. I'm sure someone will buy some cute little babies, especially Cayuga crosses or Cayugas, since they're very pretty birds. But all the runner ducks are normal fawn and white. There's some darker ones. The darker ones are crosses with my other runner ducks that are called penciled runner ducks. So you get fawn and white and pencil crosses. They create really dark, relatively dark birds. And you can kind of tell. And they're beautiful when they grow up. And the darker ones, the ones crossed with Hershey, create a much darker kind of caramel color when they're babies. And they have very dark bills. The Cayuga crosses are just cute little ducks. I'm sure, they'll grow up to be beautiful birds too. You should probably look up what a Cayuga cross looks like with a Khaki Campbell. They're a little bit lighter, just a kind of normal duck. And the other ones, there's some more little tiny black ones. So those are what's called East Indy Bantams. And those guys are half the size of a regular duck. They don't have any runner in them at all, but they are sort of the same size as call ducks. They take a long time to hatch. I think I spent close to, almost 35 hours making sure they hatch. They're very similar to geese in their time frame that they do hatch. Takes a while. Geese can take, like 3 days to hatch. Just takes a long time, and so do these East Indy Bantams. Those East Indy Bantams are adorable. They look like Cayugas. They're small, about half the size of a Cayuga, and they're another true black duck. They are shiny and green and purple and blues and all that kind of stuff when they iridesce. A very pretty duck. And overall, they just kind of stay cute. So, to put it plainly, look, they're going to be a moneymaker for me. I've had people reach out already, and I don't even have them, asking for East Indy Bantams. So, another duckling to add to my my funny farm around here. So just more stuff. So let's talk about some of the not so great things. So as you know, some of you may know, my golden retriever died from spleen cancer, and that was terrible in itself. But the problem here is Timber was the pack leader. And what I mean by that is, even though he was somewhat neurotic and you pet him and he growls and just kind of acts like a jerk, even though he loves you, he was very much the dominant dog in the 3-dog pack. So we have Toby the Chihuahua, Timber the Golden Retriever, and Hawkeye the Great Pyrenees. Timber kept them all together. He was the glue of the relationship. And unfortunately, now that Timber's gone, Hawkeye has tried to step in and become the alpha dog. The problem with that, very specifically the problem with that, is he tries to put everybody else in line. And unfortunately, his way of doing that is to hold those animals in his mouth. So it's a very scary feeling when you see a 90-pound huge dog with a Chihuahua in his mouth. Last night I had to pretty much tackle Hawkeye to get him away from Toby. The way to fix this is basically for me to be the alpha in the relationship. So really I need to step in and fill Timber's role. And that means being a jerk. Unfortunately, kind of, leading Hawkeye to the right action. And if it comes to it, Hawkeye is going to be a outside dog 100% of the time, because I can't have him trying to eat my dog and my cat. It's a very scary feeling when you see that kind of stuff. Because, you're talking about a 90-pound dog on top of an 8-pound dog. No good at all. So Hawkeye might become a 100% outdoor dog. The relationship was good before, but Hawkeye might have to fill his role 100%. Pertaining to the nasty comments in my chat, and I think some of you probably saw them. I know Wolfie did. I had an individual who I thought was a friend, and face value seemed to be that, and things changed. I've done a lot of stuff for this woman, a lot. I've run all over the state of Maryland for her. I've got her feed, I've got her, lamps to take care of her baby goslings. For heat, I have done all sorts of things, provided guidance, rearranged my schedule to be there when she needed it. I'm a busy individual. I work a 9 to 5 job, and then I do all of this duck stuff on the side. Like, it's a side hustle for me. A lot of people don't understand that raising poultry is an intensive job. You have to keep them fed in the way of Muscovy ducks. You have to pay attention to them, or they basically eat each other. Ripping feathers out, picking on each other, stuff like that. So you have to keep them basically entertained. That means moving the fence around, making sure they have all the feed they need, making sure that basically they have everything they need in order to not pick on each other. Raising Muscovies in a farm setting, or let's say a production setting, which would be meat birds, they tend to be very hard on each other, which is why a lot of farms that raise Muscovy duck, they'll actually they'll do what's called beaking the duck. So they'll cut off the nail on the front of the duck when they're babies, which is that if you've ever seen a goose bill, they have a very sharp nail on the front, and that nail helps them bite and pull grass and all that good stuff, right? So Muscovies have the same thing, but it's much sharper, and they use that nail, and unfortunately that means they end up ripping out feathers on other ducks and things like that. So they're very hard on each other. So you have to pay attention to them. Runner ducks, they need constant attention in terms of preventing piling, preventing overeating, stuff like that. So it may seem in the way that I present things like a kind of, I don't know, picturesque. You know what I mean? Like the view, you're not seeing everything. And that's not to say that I'm hiding stuff. It's just that I can't take video all the time of everything that I'm doing, because oftentimes I'm up to my elbows in dookie. It is what it is. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. It's not, you don't put the birds out and just ignore them. It's not how it works. So there's a lot of time that goes into maintaining that stuff and keeping everybody clean and fed and watered, and the bedding, good and stuff like that. Making sure that predators don't get in for the outside birds, ensuring my fence line is up, And then you have, for me, the whole other aspect of it, which would be the social media management, the YouTube management, the Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that, my website, interfacing with people, trying to, make sales, stuff like that. So there's a lot that goes into it, and rearranging my schedule to meet the demands. God, I can't talk this morning. To meet the demands of other people, it can be challenging. And some people just don't understand that. So in the regards of this individual, and I won't name names or give, specifics, so you don't know who she is. I agreed to hatch for her for free under the assumption that we're friends, and that she could help me and then I could help her, and it would be a mutual relationship. We both benefit off each other and what we do and what we know. And this individual has caused me so much grief in the last 2 weeks. I don't understand how people can be this way, and it really puts a bad taste in my mouth. Like, personally, and my wife has told me this many times, I have a fault. And that fault is that I often bend over backwards to help people, at cost to me, in time, money, whatever, lost sales, potential lost sales, let's be clear. And she gets on me and she says that I'm too nice, that I go above and beyond, and it's really hard for me not to. And I'm not looking for any sympathy from you, to be clear. It's just hard for me not to, because I like to help people. I really do. I think that the knowledge that I've acquired over the last 6 years can really benefit people. And I try to help. I really do. And sometimes people feel like they can take advantage of you. And that's what this individual did. It's very clear that I was being used. And I tried to explain to her that geese take 28 days to hatch, 29 actually, if you count the day that you put them in the incubator. And then there's about a 3-day time frame where you have to monitor them. You have to ensure that they have the right temperature, the humidity, all the stuff, right? So to make sure that they hatch. And sometimes that still doesn't work. So you have to, you need to spray them. You need to help them a little bit. You need to make sure that they can actually get out of the shell. Sometimes they get stuck. And you just need to be there for them. This individual did not understand that, despite me explaining this to her more than 3 times. They take time. It's as simple as that. But that wasn't jiving, and unfortunately she felt like she needed to start throwing threats of legal action for stolen property that she gifted to me. I asked her very specifically if she wanted anything for these eggs when we started this ordeal, and the answer was no. And I said, that's fine. Okay. But the understanding is that I'll hatch them for you, and that's fine too. And I'll deliver you whatever hatches out. I want to be very clear. If you put 6 eggs in an incubator, specifically duck or goose or chicken, that does not mean 6 chicks are going to come out. That isn't what it means. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Generally with waterfowl, it's, it can be as low as 25%. It's low, unless you spend time with them. I mean, there's a viewer on my channel, I shipped him, eggs, and he had the same problem. When you ship them, you've already reduced the hatch rate by 25 to 50%. Then you take into account fertility and, failure to thrive and nutrient in the egg and stuff like that. So you don't get out what you put in. And it's the same thing with unshipped eggs. With heavyweight breeds of geese, oftentimes they kind of miss the mark, and or they don't mate, and the goose lays an egg or whatever, and you get infertiles, which means that they candle clear after 7 days in an incubator, and that's a loss, right? So you put 6 in, you're gone, you're down 1 or 2, and then you take into account failure to thrive or failure to hatch or any of that kind of stuff, and you lose goslings, you lose the egg, whatever. So 6 in may result in 2 out in total by the time they're ready to go after 3 days, 4 days. It's a lot, and this individual didn't understand that, and she seemed to believe that because she gave me 12 eggs she would get 12 goslings, and that's not how it works. Unfortunately, she started throwing legal action around and stuff like that, and I mean, it's fairly clear to me that she was peacocking and showing off and trying to, basically throw a temper tantrum. Hey, I'm getting what I want. And it fucking sucks, to put it plainly, because I put all this work in for free, and she gets 12 goslings. Ultimately in the end, right, it doesn't matter how many goslings she gets. Take fucking 50 of them. I don't care specifically. It's the ridiculousness of all of it. I'm, again, back to being an individual who's very busy. Most of my day is, I work. In fact, I'm taking, and it's 1:26 right now, I'm taking a lunch break from my normal job. It's a lot of work, and to have to deal with that kind of bullshit, I just wish people would understand sometimes that what I do isn't like retail, right? So I don't have a product that I can just poof into existence. I can't send that, those plans to China and get back a product 1-to-1, right? It's all of it is very unpredictable, and it takes a lot, and it takes a lot out of you. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking back to all the miserable shit I had to go through. With all the stuff that she did, we have multiple things that I could absolutely sue her into oblivion on. And I'm not a sue-happy person. Like, I'm very easy to get along with. But, I mean, we're talking harassment, we're talking slander. She called me an animal abuser. If you want to throw it in there, emotional damage. I don't feel emotionally damaged, but I'm really pissed off about it. It just, a defamation of character, like, all because she didn't get what she wanted in the time frame that she thought was acceptable. And I told her many times, like, this is what it is. You gotta wait. I can't make them go any faster. I wish I could, because if I could, man, I'd have so many geese around here and be able to satisfy everybody's, demand for animals. But holy shit. Now, thankfully, and it sucks that I have to do this. It absolutely does. But I learned look, so I work for the U.S. government. Just going to say it. Some of you may not like that. Sorry. Throughout the years, you learn that you have to log all your stuff, cover your bases, cover your ass. I do that. I log everything. I log chats, I log phone calls, text messages. Every interaction is logged. And I've got pages and pages, emails with threats that are unfounded and accusations that are just baseless. It's miserable that I have to do that, but unfortunately, in today's world, you kind of have to. Interactions that are public, I don't understand some people. Like, they think that they can just stomp all over you, and I don't get it. Whatever happened to being nice to people? What happened to understanding? Like, sometimes things just don't go your way. And as a business owner, I try to make that not a thing, right? So I try to communicate and be there and be present and make sure that everybody knows what's going on when I'm doing any sort of interaction with people. I keep people updated. I send email. I do all the things that I'm supposed to do, and still, it's not enough. In the case of this individual, I don't know what more I could have done, and it bothers me. Like, I strive to help. I strive to be there and available and point people in the right direction. I know that sometimes I can come off as harsh. But to be honest with you, I'm a realist, and people don't like realist attitudes, and that's fine. You don't have to like me. I'm not here to make you like me. I'm here to sell a product. If you would like, runner ducks, if you would like cayugas, khaki Campbells, American buff geese, pilgrim geese, I'm here to fulfill your need. What I'm not here to be is your friend, to put it plainly. If you want to come and help, if you want to be there, if you want to participate in what I have going on, I'm here. I'm available. I will tell you everything you need to know. I'll even help you start your own little business or your own little hatchery. It just is one of those things, right? I don't know. I think that I hate to do this, but I'm going to really have to kind of pull back a little bit. One of my moderators told me about 50 ducks in a hot tub, and I think he was doing a great thing, raising ducks for homeless people so that he could feed them. And someone must have got a bug up their ass and decided that this was the wrong thing and all animal lives matter. And while I agree with that attitude, the purpose of a working farm is not to have pets, right? So the purpose of a working farm is to produce something for people, whether it be plants or animals or whatever, animal byproducts like milk. The purpose of a working farm is to do that. And while I don't claim to be a working farm at just 4 acres, I do produce things. I do produce things for local restaurants. I produce things for other people in intangibles in terms of networking. So my website has links to partners. I do things for other people, and I network and bring people together as well. A byproduct of this is allowing you guys to see what goes on in terms of like brooding behind me, or with the camera outside there that can track the birds, letting you feed them, stuff like that, to allow people to understand that yes, that this is a working farm, that everything isn't necessarily pretty. It's not pristine. It's, to put it plainly, there's shit everywhere. There's literal shit everywhere, all over the ground, all over the inside of the hen house. They poop so much that you would just, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. It just, things are just not pristine, right? So look at a cow barn, right? So you're in a milking cow barn. You know, I think Iowa dairy farmer, you look at his cow barn and there is shit everywhere, all over the floor. It just, but that's what it is. So you can't have a productive farm without, I don't want to say some sort of, you know, suffering, but, you know, without that kind of thing, right? Because, you know, you do your best to ensure that the animals only have one bad day. And that bad day is when they go to make your product. You know, whether it be meat or at the end of a dairy cow's life or whatever it may be. One bad day. All the rest of their time should be, you know, happy and productive and on pasture, and, you know, it just, they should be growing as an individual, forming relationships, and you know what I mean? Like, but on a farm, you can't be with the animals all the time. Like, you know, if that was the case, right? Like, let's hire people and set them out there in tents so that they can, I don't know, give the cows or the birds a spa day every day. Like, you know, pet them and brush them and shit like that. Come on. I don't know. This is an eye-opener for me, I guess. I don't know. To whoever's watching this video on my YouTube channel, I ask you to do one of two things. Be here, learn, and appreciate where your product comes from, right? So I'm giving you a glimpse into the life of animals, specifically farm animals. They don't, I don't know, they don't have a bad life. You know, I'm sitting here watching my Muscovy ducks, and I'm watching them just kind of cruise around and eat grass and, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, they're perfectly happy. So the goal is to give them a good life, a good, productive, friendly life, and I want you to experience that, truly. The second thing, if you can't appreciate that and you think that I'm doing things wrong, and that you think things can be done better, don't be an asshole about it. All you're doing is producing negative emotions for everybody, and it causes problems. Not just for me, but it'll cause problems for you too. Like, you need to be nice in life. If you can't just be nice, don't say anything at all. You heard your mother say this many times when you were a child. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say it. And it stands true on the internet. For every comment, every YouTube channel, every whatever social media, there's always someone behind that channel, behind that keyboard, that's a human, right? Not everything's run by robots today yet. Just think about what you're posting and how it may affect that other person, how it affects you. That short-term moment of gratitude that you get, or elation that you get from, you know, trying to tear somebody down, is short-lived, and it makes the other person feel worse. So I'm not going to tolerate that kind of stuff on any of my social media, and it's a good way to get yourself banned immediately. So if point blank, if you can't be nice, I'm going to ban you. Go ahead and unsubscribe. I don't want you here. You know, to my viewers that watch and, you know, comment and really appreciate what's going on, I really do appreciate all of you, and I love the input that you give me in terms of, you know, what you think about the ducks and what you think about the geese and the interactions that the geese have. Even the you know, the tips and stuff. You know, I know some of my moderators are very on top of things and let me know when a bird is sick or has an issue. Good example is actually this duck right here. So this duck has a broken leg. And when I say has, what I actually mean is had a broken leg. one of my moderators and a couple of my commenters who are frequents on my channel said, hey, there's a duck out there limping around. So I went and grabbed her, and sure enough, she had a broken leg. Don't know how it got broken. Duck legs are very fragile. It could be that she got stomped by a goose. It could be that she tripped over something. It happens. Unfortunately, with ducks, sometimes a broken leg, like a horse, is a death sentence. It really is. And, you know, I do my best to ensure that I put in the best effort possible to try to repair and help and make sure that these animals are healthy and in good condition and not suffering. And that's what I did with this duckling here. She went into a brooder bin, and she's been in there probably a week now, week and a half, something like that, and her leg is healed. Now, duck legs are kind of shaped like this, right? So up in the body, they have a horizontal, and then they have the leg that you see. Hers is broken up in the body. You can't splint it, you can't wrap it, you can't do anything to get it to be where it needs to be because you can't get around it. So realistically, you just have to put her in a bin, let her sit, and hope that it gets better. And that's what's happened. It's gotten better, and probably in another week or so, she's still limping a little bit, probably another week or so, she'll be able to go back out and join her friends. But I didn't have to call. So the point I'm making here is I do my best to ensure that my birds are taken care of to the best of my ability in the most cost-effective manner. Because I have so many birds, my birds are not pets, they are farm animals. And a lot of people blur the lines on that. They think that farm animals are pets and that you should, be out there tending to every one of them and cuddling them. And it's not how it works. Point blank, not how it works. I've got, I want to say, close to 200 birds. Not all of, they don't get sick. I do what I can to make sure they don't get sick. I use antibiotics very sparingly when I have to. If they have a case of bubble eye or anything like that. I do participate in one-on-one health care and stuff like that, pointing to, this duck over here when I need to. If the injury is too great, like they're bleeding because of a hawk attack, or, they have a big gash from, an owl or something like that, or a fox has decided to rip most of their body off, like, those are things you just can't come back from, right? But a broken leg, I'm willing to give it a shot. In terms of culling, so the Maryland Department of Agriculture and most other big, producers of poultry, chickens in particular, what they do to call their birds, say, like right now up in Cecil County, we're having a significant outbreak of avian influenza. And it's mostly due to people not practicing good hygiene when they go in and out of hen houses. That I just showed you my boot there, and that's a big contributor. You have to make sure your boots are clean. Dips, switching boots, walk in, switch your boot in a mudroom, that kind of stuff. You have to participate in good hygiene in order to ensure your birds are safe and happy and they don't get sick. Waterfowl, I have all my birds in a free-ranged area. I have chickens, ducks, and geese, and I have a hawkeye, which is a Great Pyrenees. You have to do the right things through exclusion, prevention, making the area like uninviting. And that's not to say that I make the area uninviting for my birds, but uninviting to wildlife. So a couple times a heron landed at my pond and was looking for something to eat, despite there being a stream 300 feet away. So that kind of stuff, like you have to stop the wild geese from coming in and landing in your pond or trying to be friends with your geese. It's no good, because specifically waterfowl can carry avian influenza and show no signs, but they can kill all your chickens. When I call my birds, if I need to call my birds, MDA specifically says they use CO2. CO2 is very cheap. It doesn't cost much at all to fill a a 50-pound bottle or whatever it is, and call all the birds. However, CO2 causes inflammation of the mucous membranes, and it's painful. Imagine taking a sip of soda or pop, wherever you're from, and burping through your nose, right? You know how that burns. Imagine dying on a soda burp. I don't subscribe to that. It's too much. I do participate in good animal health and death. So the way that I do it is I use a noble gas. Any of the noble gases, the inert gases like nitrogen, helium, argon, any of those things. We've all, for fun, taken a big old breath of a helium balloon, and you get to talk in that high-pitched voice, right? And you don't feel it, but it can suffocate you. So I use nitrogen when I need to call, and the bird just goes to sleep. It doesn't suffer. It doesn't die, thrash or any of that stuff. It just goes to sleep. I don't like, killing by, cutting a head off or breaking a neck or anything. I don't like doing that at all. It causes unnecessary pain, and it's hard on you, right? I'd much rather their final day just be them going to sleep. And like I said, I do what I can to make sure that animal's comfortable. A lot of people don't care, and I try very specifically to make sure that other people know how to properly handle animals that need to be euthanized. It may cost a little more for a bottle of nitrogen, but that's the cost, right? And thankfully, I don't have to do it often, but it is what it is. In terms of body disposal, because I am an NPIP, so what that stands for is National Poultry Improvement Program, and one of the requirements to participate in that is to have your birds tested for avian influenza and pylorium typhoid. You can get other tests as well, like mycosis and stuff like that, ascites or something. It's like little worms. So you can get other tests too. It's not really necessary because those things aren't as deadly as avian influenza. They do cause problems, but they're not as deadly. Like, you won't wipe out a whole flock with them. They're very slow moving. You can, generally remove the animal that's sick and deal with it. But the requirement is to be tested. When they come out and test, if they determine that your birds are sick, they will assist you in calling your birds. They will also reimburse you, I think, up to 75% of the cost of your animals for participating in this program, as opposed to if you don't participate in this program and they come out and find that your birds are a source of infection, they'll call all your stuff and walk away and say, have a good day. But me, I'm proactive. So any birds that I see that have died or are sick, I do call. I do handle that body appropriately, and oftentimes the way that you handle that body, that carcass, is incineration. You can't just leave them laying around. You can't put them in a compost pile. It's really not a great thing to eat them, so they get burned. It sucks, but what it does do is prevent the spread of disease to other animals. Any like foragers or scavengers like fox or coyote or hawks or anything like that feels like they should eat that carcass can carry that infection as well. So you don't want to leave a dead bird laying around, and I can't afford it, and I can't afford to be the source of someone else's pain. So all of my birds are incinerated and taken care of. Birds that I see that have died very recently, like if I walk out and find that they've been in a hawk attack and they've either suffered from blood loss or a stress-induced heart attack, I don't waste that bird, because that bird was healthy but has had an accident. I had a couple chickens die like that, and you know, like any chicken, I got myself my stock pot on my crab boiler, plucked the bird, and fed it to my dog Hawkeye, and he had himself a wonderful dinner. So on my little farm here, I use everything that I can in a way that is productive and beneficial for everybody, in terms of the birds and my animals, and you know, in terms of mental health up here, right? Because I don't want to go slaughtering a bird and, you know, have that guy, you know, the saying goes, like a chicken with its head cut off, right? So it unfortunately it's true. So if you do cut a chicken's head off, they do run around. I don't want that at all. Like, that is not something that I want to see or deal with ever. So, you know, but you know, if a bird is doing that, I do have to handle it, and especially because I'm so transparent with what I do. That is a negative, a strong negative in terms of public image, right? So, got to be cognizant of those things. You know, not to say that I filter, but I do have to take care of what needs to be taken care of. So, anyway, it appears to have stopped raining, or mostly stopped raining. So I need to go fill my Muscovy feeding bins. I got trash cans I put, you know, little feeding portholes in. And those guys are walking around looking pretty hungry. So they've eaten 20 pounds of feed in about 4 days. They eat a lot. They're like little pigs. So I'm going to bid you guys adieu. And I'll see you next time. And I'm sorry this video is 40 minutes, but there's some things that I needed to kind of get off my chest. And you know, I've talked to some friends about it, and they've all said that, you know, I'm doing the right thing. And you know, that's one of the things that you should be doing as a person, is trying to get that view from people on the outside. You know, I talk to friends and other people who are not specifically friends, but we're friendly. You try to get that third person point of view, right? So I do that. I talk to other people, and, you know, I run things past them. I say, what do you think about this? And oftentimes they say, you know, you're doing the right thing. And, you know, I'm, again, back to being realist. I don't exclude anything. Like, I am happy to admit my fault. And in this particular case, with that individual that I'm referring to, I tried my best. And to, you know, I included all that stuff when I referred to other people. But anyway, now I'm just kind of rambling. So, but anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for sitting through 43 minutes right now. I really appreciate you guys and all that you do and the input that you make. It means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. It helps me grow as an individual and helps me present a better image, right? And grow my business, be better in total. So anyway, see you guys. Have a good day. And thanks again for listening to me ramble about just nonsense. I'll see you.